Long before humans ever understood the science behind it, nature itself had already been experimenting. Imagine a lone chimpanzee wandering through a patch of forest, stumbling across a windfall of plums that had fallen to the ground. Many of them had split open, releasing a strong, sweet aroma that carried through the air. Drawn by that irresistible scent, the animal gorged itself, devouring plum after plum. At first it was just a feast, but then came the strange sensations, the lightheadedness, the unusual movements, the odd behaviors. Without knowing it, this curious ape had discovered the very same process that would, many millennia later, give rise to beer, wine, and the countless varieties of alcoholic drinks enjoyed across human history. The key to this mysterious transformation lies in something invisible. Overripe fruits, once their skins are breached, quickly become magnets for tiny organisms called yeasts. These microscopic creatures thrive on sugar, and in the process of feeding they produce a chemical compound, ethanol, the same type of alcohol that fills glasses today. This natural reaction is what we call fermentation. For animals, it's an accident of biology. For humans, it became one of the most influential discoveries in cultural and social development. No one can pinpoint the exact moment when humans first harnessed fermentation deliberately, but archaeological traces suggest that the practice reaches back thousands of years. The oldest evidence known to date comes from around 7,000 years before the Common Era in what is now China. In clay vessels unearthed by archaeologists, residue revealed an ancient mixture of fermented rice, millet, honey, and grapes, an unmistakable sign that people had not only discovered fermentation, but had begun to refine it. This early innovation would spread far beyond a single region. As centuries passed, different civilizations developed their own unique approaches. In Mesopotamia, people transformed cereal grains into beer, which became a cornerstone of their daily diet. It wasn't reserved only for the privileged. Workers received it as part of their rations, and it fueled the labor that built cities and temples. In Egypt, beer was likewise a daily staple, but wine occupied a different place. Grapes struggled to thrive in the hot climate, so wine was rare and expensive, a luxury enjoyed mostly by elites. By contrast, in Greece and Rome, where grapevines flourished under the Mediterranean sun, wine was as common as beer in Mesopotamia. It flowed in homes, taverns, and banquets, woven into both social and religious life. One of the fascinating aspects of alcohol's history is how flexible the process of fermentation is. Wherever people lived, they adapted local crops into drinkable brews. In South America, people brewed chicha from grains, sometimes enhancing it with hallucinogenic herbs to create a drink with both intoxicating and spiritual significance. In the land that is now Mexico, a sap drawn from cactus plants gave rise to pulque, thick, milky, and deeply tied to cultural rituals. Across East Africa, brewers turned bananas and palms into beers that nourished and connected communities. In Japan, sake emerged from rice, a drink so central to tradition that it remains entwined with festivals and ceremonies today. Nearly every corner of the globe developed its own fermented creations, evidence that alcohol is as much about culture as it is about chemistry. As fermented drinks took root in everyday life, people began to reflect on their effects. Some authorities praised them, seeing benefits that went beyond mere sustenance. Greek physicians believed wine contributed to good health when consumed in moderation. Poets and artists credited alcohol with sparking bursts of creativity, loosening the rigid bonds of thought and opening new avenues of expression. Yet others worried about the darker side. Greek philosophers promoted temperance, cautioning against excess. Early Jewish and Christian traditions embraced wine in their rituals, but warned against drunkenness, framing it as a moral failing. In Islamic teachings, the concern grew stronger. What began as a prohibition on prayer while intoxicated eventually developed into a broader ban on alcohol altogether. In each case, society grappled with the dual nature of alcohol, a substance that could heal, inspire, and unite, but also one that could corrupt, harm, and divide. There was, however, a limit to what early brewing could achieve. Wild yeasts can only survive up to a certain concentration of alcohol. Once their own byproducts, ethanol, reach around 13%, the environment becomes toxic and fermentation stops. For thousands of years, this natural ceiling meant that alcoholic beverages remained relatively weak compared to what we now know as spirits. Wine, beer, and similar drinks could intoxicate but never reach the concentrated strength of modern liquors. That barrier held until human curiosity and innovation discovered a way to push beyond it. The breakthrough came in the form of distillation. By the 9th century, Arabic scholars had described a method that would change alcohol forever. They learned that if you boiled a fermented liquid, the alcohol within would evaporate before the water did. Since alcohol has a lower boiling point, capture that vapor, cool it down, and you are left with a liquid far more concentrated than anything natural fermentation could achieve. At first, distilled spirits were valued as medicine, powerful tonics thought to heal, disinfect, and preserve. But soon they found wider use, expanding trade, altering diets, and reshaping economies. Distilled alcohol had a crucial advantage. It did not spoil. Wine could sour, and beer could go bad, but distilled spirits remained stable even on long journeys. This property transformed them into commodities with global reach. Rum, distilled from sugar in the Caribbean colonies, became a sailor's staple and a vital piece of transatlantic commerce. Europeans introduced gin and brandy to Africa, where spirits sometimes took the place of currency itself, exchanged for land, goods, and tragically, for enslaved people. Alcohol was no longer just a drink. It became entangled in systems of power, trade, and exploitation. During the Great Age of Exploration, spirits served a practical purpose as well. Crossing oceans was no small feat, and keeping sailors healthy during months at sea presented constant challenges. Freshwater supplies stored in barrels often turned foul, breeding microbes that made crews sick. But alcohol, with its preservative properties, provided a solution. Mixing brandy with water not only extended its freshness, but killed harmful bacteria, making it safer to drink. A small measure of spirits could mean the difference between survival and disaster on a months-long voyage. By the 17th century, alcohol had transformed from a natural accident stumbled upon by a hungry ape into one of the central forces driving global interaction. It lubricated trade, sustained armies and navies, and accompanied migration and colonization. It provided comfort, ritual, and recreation, while also fueling conflict, exploitation, and moral debate. Its story is inseparable from the story of humanity itself, yet alcohol's role in society never remained simple. As it spread and evolved, so too did the debates around it. Was it a gift or a curse? A tool for healing or a path to ruin? Different cultures answered in different ways, often shifting as circumstances changed. At one moment it was praised as divine nectar, at another condemned as dangerous poison. And through it all, people continued to refine the methods of brewing and distillation, creating endless variations, from sweet wines to bitter ales, from fiery whiskies to smooth vodkas. Alcohol is not just a liquid in a cup. It is a mirror of human culture. It shows how ingenuity can transform simple ingredients into something greater, how trade can carry ideas and substances across oceans, how societies can celebrate and struggle with the same thing for millennia. It reflects both creativity and contradiction. From ancient clay pots in China to modern distilleries churning out countless bottles, alcohol's journey is one of constant reinvention, and it all began with nature itself, a piece of fruit left too long on the ground, sugars fermenting under the touch of microscopic life, a chimpanzee intoxicated and stumbling, unaware of the vast future set in motion. What was once an accident of biology became one of humanity's most enduring companions, shaping economies, inspiring art, fueling exploration, and sparking endless debate about its place in our lives. Its story is still unfolding, as each generation redefines its relationship with this remarkable and sometimes troubling creation.